Yes, is this KK Thornton? Yes, this is Frank. How are you? It's my pleasure. Yes, I remember I spoke to your friend Joe about that we should place all our acts in the divine will all day long, omitting nothing. And I have been doing that for the last 3 days. I'm not just preaching, I'm practicing. And you can do it. It's Jesus says it's not that hard. You just got to concentrate, and that's why he says, "Be attentive, be faithful and attentive." You notice he repeats that over and over again. I don't know if you've read any of the volumes yet. Oh, okay. You're in the beginning, right? And it's not really divine will yet. It's the virtues that's mainly covered. You only start in the divine will in volume 11. So if you want to, you can hop straight to 11 after, what is it, 3 you said you're on? 2. Oh, I see. Oh, good. That's what you were saying. Yes. The thing is, Jesus wants us to place every act. You know, you got to call him, because the difference is the difference between heaven and earth. When you call him to enter your act, you just have to say, "Come, divine will, into my dishwashing, into my driving, into my thinking, into my whatever you're doing all day long." And it's not that hard. Maybe it's taken me a while, but the last 3 or 4 days I've been doing it almost constantly. And when I forget or get absent-minded, as soon as I remember, I place what I had forgotten to do in the divine will. Yes, because Jesus says he will cover for you if you can't keep up with all of the placing of the divine will in each act. So yeah, he's a million times more interested in our doing the acts in the divine will than we are. A million times. He said the whole purpose was for us to live in the divine will, and Adam and Eve kind of ruined things, and he said he's been crying for 6,000 years, and he said that we slowly had to earn the right back to live in the divine will, and first the redemption had to come, and Jesus came through the Blessed Mother, who was the only one to live in the divine will, with possibly also Saint Joseph before, and Jesus himself, of course. That's taken for granted. He is the divine will. And anyway, yeah, he divinizes each act, and it becomes an eternal act, and it becomes another Jesus. He's interested in multiplying himself millions and millions of times. Did you know that? When you place it in his will, he does it with you, and the fact that he does it with you divinizes it. And these divine lives, he also calls them divine lives. They go around creating conversions and inspirations in people to get them back on the right track. It does good to everyone and gives infinite glory. Huh? Your prayers are divinized. Exactly. And yes, and he said that one act in the divine will, no matter how small it is, whether you've placed an eye blink in the divine will, and you can do that too. There's even your breathing. I try to think of when I'm breathing that I'm placing my breathing in his will. because he will circulate like the blood circulates in the veins. When you place your breathing and your heartbeats in him, he will circulate in your heartbeats and in your breathing. It is. No wonder he's crying, because nobody's paying attention to him. Very few. And Louisa did pay attention. Of course, she was taught by our Lord himself, but we need to read. The whole key is to have knowledge. He said the knowledge will whet your appetite, so you want to place your acts in his will. And he said the circle of light around you and in your soul becomes bigger and bigger with each act you place in his will. And your place in heaven will be increased by each act. Yeah, and once he sees that you're serious about living in his will, he will give you the gift on a full-time basis. That is, every act you will do will be in the divine will. And only he knows, but he said you will feel him inside of you at that point. You'll feel him moving in your arms, in your body, in your heart, in your breathing, in your all of your bodily how do you say actions. Yeah. So yes, there's just nothing like it. It has to become our obsession, because it's Jesus' obsession. He actually says that he can barely give us anything if we're not in his will. He gives us only subsistence wages. Yeah, in terms of graces, graces. But when we're in his will, he hugs and kisses us constantly. And actually, he's doing it anyway through the divine will, which is in everything. He said that every ray of sunshine is a kiss from him. Every puff of wind. What was that? Everything in creation is an I love you from God. And what does he want to hear back from us? I love you, I love you, I love you. But he doesn't want us to say it with our voice only. He wants us to say it with Jesus, so that it's his love, giving him love. He's only interested in divine things. Yeah. So, so it's scary, because Louisa said, but we miss so many of these acts to place him in your divine will. And he said, well, that's true. He said, but he wants you to start doing it and try to do it better all the time, and he will supply for any defects. And it will change the world. The whole world would be changed if a certain number of us started living and placing all of our acts in the divine will. Since 1991. Somebody gave me, yeah. But it took me a long time, because I only had access to the lower volumes, so I didn't really understand what living in the divine will really was. I knew it was the truth, but it's you're on a how do you say, on a really baby food diet when you're in the early volumes. So you don't really understand it until you get into the high volumes. Oh my gosh, how sorrowful, how sorrowful. She called me. Her name is, yes, she called me out of the blue, and I didn't know she had done that. She said her name is Mother Gabrielle. Yeah. Yes. 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 Yes, it's never too late though. Yeah. Yeah. Are you going to try to place all of your acts now in divine will? Yeah, I guess he was impressed with our talk. He really enjoyed it. Because I said, my gosh, I didn't expect this. He called his friend to tell her to call me. Wow. That is wonderful. We have a little group. We're only 4. We used to be 15 at one time, but people moved away and some lost interest because they didn't understand it. And none of us understood it like, we understand it today. So there's only 2 of the original members are still there. And we've picked up 2 more. Yes, you're right. You do. Jesus has to put you through a ringer. Yeah. Yeah, he has his way of doing things. Huh? Wow. Yes, wonderful. Wonderful. We're all learners, believe me. Exactly. He said that his divine will is inexhaustible, that even in all eternity we will not exhaust everything there is to know about his divine will. And he said the divine will is the director of the 3 persons. Isn't that something? And it even directs his love. He said his love is his firstborn daughter of his divine will. Everything comes through the divine will. All his operations are through the fiat. Even when he did creation, he pronounced a fiat, meaning the spoken word of his divine will, meaning let there be light. And then he spoke all the other fiats and made creation. And creation is just loaded with his love. He has put in different effects of his love in each thing in creation. The sun has the effect of light, of of of, of understanding things, of producing growth and all those things that the sun does. It's an image of his divine will. In fact, there's something of the divine will in everything he created. They mean something, like the sky is his immensity, and so is the ocean. And it was all created for love of us, for no other reason. He said, you're not going to believe this, he would have created a universe for each person if it had been necessary. But he said, since everybody could enjoy the sun equally and say it's theirs, and everybody can enjoy the wind, the refreshing breezes, the water to quench our thirst, the fruits for food, the vegetables, the animals to help us along, and even for pets. Isn't that? Is there anything as cute as a little puppy? Cuter? Yeah, there you go. These are all gifts of his love, and we don't appreciate it. We're kind of numb.